Entire family of Hindustan, may I take this opportunity to extend a hearty and warm welcome to Mr.T.P. Sreenivasan in our midst. Secondly, when we are talking on this theme, on migration challenges and prospects, on special focus on Syrian Christians, what better person can you have than the chairman of the Tamil Nadu State Minorities Commission, who is none other than our guest of honor, Mr. Peter Alphonse.
I'd like to appreciate the School of Liberal Arts and Applied Sciences, the Department of Languages for hosting this unique international conference. The traditional invocation song in Syriac language has set the tone for the conference. I'm happy to note that His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Theodosius, Thoma Metropolitan, Thoma Syrian Church, has sent a special message and blessings.
Dear friends in Christ, I am happy to hear that the Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science, Chennai, is organizing a conference on migration challenges and prospects with a special focus on Syrian Christians from West Asia to the Oriental regions in the 9th century AD. I appreciate the patrons, advisors, administrative panel, steering committee, academicians, and research scholars of the institution, as well as the conference committee for organizing such an historic event.
It's a great opportunity for me to stand before you all and present an overview of the event as convener of the International Conference on Migration Challenges. It's really heartening to note that the brainchild behind the conduct of this international conference is Mr. Ashok Verghese, Pro-Chancellor HITS, he proposed this at the event he attended in May 22, pertaining to the 1200th anniversary celebrations on the migration of the Assyrian Armenian from West Asia to Kollam, where our founder chairman, late Dr. KCG Verghese, was bestowed the second Marwan Sabor ISO Award.
Tulasheri Malappurathu Tharavad, which has had a chain of 24 priests without break, believe it or not. 24 priests, a lineage of 24 priests, all because of this great tradition that we were handed over by the bishops. And we've been doing well, and thank God again for that.
Greetings to all of you. It is really an honor and a privilege to address this most important seminar, hosted and organized by one of the premier educational institutions of Tamil Nadu, which holds a distinct place of excellence in the educational map of Tamil Nadu. When I stand here, I remember Mr. KCG Verghese. I know him. I had occasions to see him, interact with him, and he was a frequent visitor to my leader and mentor, Mr. Mupnar. So he was a close friend of our leader, Mupnar. And in those days, when Mr. Mupnar was the General Secretary of the All India Congress Committee, he was given various assignments to visit different parts of India to execute some political missions. And Mr. Verghese used to lend his aircraft to take Mr. Mupnar to different places. He was such an excellent host, a multifaceted personality, a good friend. And I'm very glad that Madam Verghese and their children have realized the dreams of Mr. Verghese and taken the university to an extraordinary level where it has attained the status of excellence. I congratulate Hindustan University and the Department of Languages, the School of Liberal Arts and Science for organizing such a grand conference on such a relevant theme. And history is very important. Every generation, every society should know its past, should understand the present, and plan for the future. Any society that doesn't know its past and doesn't understand the present and doesn't plan for the future is doomed to die as a civilization, as a society. So, I really congratulate the department for just taking the steps to make the students aware of how this institution had traveled to this level. Historians say that this is the first migration of humans from their place of origin to another location. Since survival in the snowy forests of northern Europe required different traits than those need to stay alive in Indonesia's streaming jungles, human populations moved in different directions. The result was several distinct species in the genus Homo, and each genus was called with the different names. Tamil Nadu and Kerala are the major sources of Indian immigration. Migration from the north and highly populated Uttar Pradesh and Bihar is largely made up of semi-skilled and unskilled laborers, whereas migrants from southern Kerala and Tamil Nadu tend to have higher levels of education.
What is this world should be? And that is where people have to look at India. If you could live with so many cultures and make them our own. When we talk of Syrian Christians, we do not think in terms of somebody who came from Syria. We don't even think about Syria. They are just called Syrian Christians because of a particular history. But it is not alien to us. And look at this university itself. Mr. KCG Varghese, when he set it up, why didn't he set it up in the name of one Saint Peter or Saint Matthew or somebody? I don't know, you may be able to tell us. He called it Hindustan University. Look at the vision. I don't know whether there was any Hindustan University before that. Maybe not, right? So, that is the vision that we have. We do not look at in terms of sectarianism. I'm not saying that we must forget our history. But once we adopt a religion or a person or a community as ours, we consider it ours to be ours. And that is the greatness of India, where every Indian is a Hindu. So there is no real difference between a Hindu and a Christian in my thinking. So these are the kind of variations that are taken.
I believe it was all totally a new thing, right? Students, have you seen any dance like this? Have you heard such a message like this? What they spoke? Starting from the 9th century, from where we started, the Christianity and other St. Thomas came here. How the migration happened, the way that they have businesses and the culture that established in our country, the significance of it, it was really amazing to learn a lot of new things from the eminent speakers who were here today. Let's give a big clap to all of them.
Shalom Aleichem. Greetings to you all, as we say it in the Syriac Aramaic language. Barachmor Abu Malayo, Your Excellencies, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear honorable guests. It's truly a great honor and pleasure to be online with you today. My name is Gewergis Aziz. I'm from Holland, born in a small village, Arnas in Torabdin. For many years, I've heard the stories so many pictures of my late spiritual father, Mallius Yeshua Chichak, Metropolitan of the Syriac Orthodox Church of Central Europe. Since I wished to witness all it with my own eyes, I could not decline the kind invitation 1200th anniversary of the West Asian to Kolam, sent it last year to our beloved brother, Mr. Johnny Messum, the president of the World Council of the Arameans, by Mr. Arun Babu Zakaria from the famous Tulasari Manapurata Taravat. Allow me to seize this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude to Mr. Arun and his family for all their hard labor who brought me and my wife from Europe to that conference last year and to reveal to us their warm and unforgettable hospitality. Also, I would like to thank Mr. Ashok Varghese, director of the Hindustan group of institution, for his warm meeting at that same conference. We had a wonderful time and experience.
At the end of the 9th century, we learn from an entry in the so-called Book of the City Epoch about a list of commodities which were still in demand in Constantinople and sold by the so-called Mirepsoi, whose selling points were situated exactly in the city center of Constantinople, near the Hagia Sophia and the Imperial Palace. And these commodities mainly came from India and were still in high demand in Constantinople, now intermediated via the routes we have seen on the map before.
Although we do not dispose of such reports for periods before the 20th century, we all know that migration is a diachronic phenomenon, the goal of which is the security and/or betterment of life for those on the move. Every human civilization through centuries has been influenced by cultures transferred by migrants in their new home country.
At the risk of falling into a kind of academic Samaritan mode, it seems necessary to pause to review and understand the phenomenon of migration and the knowledge that is generated, which should undoubtedly be shared for two reasons. Firstly, the need to look at how the category of migration is constructed in the publication studied. Each investigation proposes questions, meanings, and perspectives that delimit and define the contours not only of the field of study, but also what we understand by migration.
In 1950s, and Kerala became an independent state in 1956, please remember, Kerala people were started migrating. Why they migrated? There was an unemployment, what we call them educated unemployment. And what helped them? Indian Railways. Any one of you have seen the railway timetable of 1945? 1956, when Kerala became an independent based on Malayalam, there were 4 trains were famous. I think one train landed in Chennai, that's why you have Hindustan University here. Trivandrum Chennai, Trivandrum Bangalore, Trivandrum Mumbai, and Trivandrum Delhi. You see, even today, those Malayalis who left, who are more educated, who can speak English. So these educated people started leaving Kerala to only 4 cities. That's why you have lot of presence of Malayalis in Chennai. Where other places? Bangalore, Delhi, and Mumbai. Today, you look at the railway timetable of Kerala, trains are coming from northeast. Okay? The whole train changed. So these people who went there were educated people, most of them are Syrian Christians.
Ever since the origin of human beings, there have been migrations resulting in intermingling of tribes and races. It remains a sad fact that much knowledge about history of communities or families have been lost due to lack of transmission and preservation of knowledge. This documentary is an effort to keep alive the memory and traditions of the 9th century West Asian migrants to Kerala. Kerala Christians boast of a history and culture as old as Christianity. The roots of Christianity in India can actually be traced back to the origin of Christianity. Saint Thomas, one of the apostles of Christ, who is believed to be the founder of the religion in India in 52 CE. Kerala has many busy ports which attracted traders from across the globe. It had foreign trade links even before the age of Christ.
People seemed to come to Kerala way back in 1000 BC, and after the destruction of Jerusalem temple in the 6th century BC, a lot of Jews would have migrated to a very old Muchiripatnam. At that time, Muchiripatnam was not a major settlement, but of course the Jews came here to settle and also for trade, all merged into one. A wonderful spice garden that is Kerala. So these spices, in search of these spices, Arabs, Persians, Romans, the Greek and the Alexandrians came in different times in the history of Kerala. But far south in Kollam, the Kurakeni Kollam of the olden days and the Kollam of the 9th century is such a lovely place for the Roman ships, the Arab ships, the Chinese ships to converge for trade in the 9th century AD.
It is believed that in 823 CE, a Judeo-Aramean Christian trader, Marwan Sabir Isho from West Asia, from the town of Nineveh, arrived to Kollam by ship along with twin bishops, Mar Sabor and Mar Afroth, and several families. They brought with them the Nazrani cross or the Persian cross. It is engraved on the Persian cross set up by Mar Sabor in Karamattam church that the place from which he migrated was Nineveh.
There are some evidences available that Mar Afroth and Mar Sabor had constructed the Karamattam church. A Persian cross with the name Mar Afroth etched on it is kept in the most holy place of the church. Another church was constructed at Agapparambu in Angamali, which was constructed under the leadership of the same bishops. The structural similarity between these two churches confirms that Mar Afroth and Mar Sabor had constructed these churches as well.
These two pious saintly brothers were known as church builders, and a number of churches built by them were known as Kadi Shangal.
The meaning of Devalakara literally translates to English as God's place. The relevance of the church is that the tomb of Mar Sabor lies there. History says that this church was constructed in the 4th century. Inscriptions are engraved on the tomb of Mar Sabor, but it is difficult to read and interpret because it has been written using an ancient script. A small cross carved on the tombstone is also visible. The age of the inscription cannot be dated correctly, nonetheless it is preserved and protected from ancient days. In addition to this, we can see a renovated resting place known as Chavadi in front of the church where Mar Sabor is believed to have stayed.
The foundation of city of Kollam is claimed as the work of Christian immigrants in 825 CE. The Malayalam era, Kollavarsham or Nazrani era, is reckoned from the year 825 CE, which was when the migrants arrived. They based their calendar on a similar one used in Nineveh, using names like Chingam, meaning lion, instead of Leo, and Kanni, meaning Kanyaga or virgin, instead of Virgo. These names were used for the months in the Nazrani era calendar. In 849 CE, the granting of Tarishapalli Chepat by Venad kingdom ruler Ayyamadikal to the West Asian migrants happened. Venad was under the Chera Empire, which was ruled by Sthanu Ravi Varma. during this period. They were given 72 privileges and were the official custodians of the weights and measures of the kingdom of Venad, and hence were given the title Modalali.
They have been so much involved in the promotion of trade of Kollam that the church they erected in Kollam was being eventually favored by the local ruler, Ayyanadigal Tiruvadigal. He conferred different privileges, commercial privileges on the church, including the taxes that he collected from different categories of people, different categories of profession. They were being allowed to be taxed and imposed by the Church of Teresa, which is a prelates, Sapor and Proth erected in Koilon. This institution played a significant role in mobilizing trade, in activating the economy, in stimulating the commercial activities of Kollam for a long period of time. As custodian of the weights and measures of the city almost for 6 centuries, it maintained the mercantile ethos and mercantile atmosphere of the town for a considerable span of time. The traders and the migrants, along with the Sapor and Proth, they also benefited in a considerable scale, and they have been well placed in the social ladder that has been eventually developed in the societal fabric in Kerala during this period of time by the Brahmins.
Tarashapalli, nobody could ignore the authorities. You have to know the political structure then that prevails then. It was under the suzerainty that Kollam region was the Kollam town, Korakeni Kollam, was the capital of Venad at that time. Venad at that time was a young kingdom. It was just evolving from I into Venad. It was under the suzerainty of Muziris, that is the Kodungalur, where Mahodaya Cheran or Kulashekara Cheran was ruling the roost. That is why Tarashapalli Shepherd has the inscription, the copper plates have the inscription of being given to Mar Sabor by Ayyan Adigal Tiruvadigal, that is the king of Venad, during the reign of Sthanu Ravi, arguably the Chera ruler, in his 5th year of reign. So that is the time period. We calculate the time period into AD 849. So this is historical. Remember, this document is the oldest available historical document written on concrete surface. That is copper plate. There are 5 copper plates recovered now. These 5 pieces of copper plates inscribed in several languages, mainly written in an ancient language with a script of which is called the Vatteluthu in Grantha Lipi. It is the older form, a transition between Tamil and Malayalam, the olden day Malayalam, in fact. So that is very much readable. From the reading of the thing, we understand the political structure, the social structure, the caste structure, the economic transactions, and the taxation system that prevailed in the 9th century Kerala. We hear about a lot of taxes, Talakkanam, Enikkanam, all these taxes, all weights and measurements like Kudanari, all these things, are seen in the document. And we also get a glimpse of the caste system that prevailed. When you mention about Irava, when you mention about Ashari, Mushari, all these segments of the community based on division of labor. So another thing, the last thing which I would like to share is the impact the Persian migration did to the church, the Christian church. The ailing Christian church got a fillip by the huge sums of money brought in foreign trade directed from Tarashapalli. Tarashapalli had trade guilds, including Anchuvannam, arguably Jewish trading guild involved in international trade, and also a Syrian Christian trading guild called Manigramam, settled in various places in subcontinental India with ports all around. So these are the trading guilds that gave the coffers, which filled the coffers of Tarashapalli.
There were 6 copper plates originally, but we lost 1 copper plate from the 6. It is believed that Vasco da Gama, in one of his visits, took 1 leaf from the 6 to show it to the King of Portugal. A research work was undertaken by Keshavan Veludat and M.R. Raghava Warrior on these copper plates. It was later published as a book entitled as Tharishapalli Patayam by the National Bookstall. In this study, they argued that Tharishapalli copper plate is not a new treaty, rather a renewal of the already existing trade privilege given in Knanya Thomanchepid. The same was argued by Del Puro as well. Colonel Macaulay, while departing from India, made it a point to return all the essential documents back to the concerned people, and as these copper plates were related to the Syrian community, he handed it over to the authorities of the Syrian headquarters, which was the Paraya Seminary, and later on, during the church's divide, a few copper plates were brought to Thoma church headquarters in Tiruvalla, Palatin, and the remaining were kept in Devalogam Aranmana, the Orthodox church headquarters.
In 12th century CE, a family belonging to the descendants of Marwan Sabir Isho shifted from Kollam to Kallada and established Tulasheri Mannapuratha Tharwad on the land gifted by Koyakal Palace, who were matrilineally related to the Venad rulers. Around 1250 CE, ruler of Kallada, Princess Avni Rani, was presented with gold and precious stones by the family members in return for the land to construct the Talasheri Mannapuratha Martha Mariam Church, which is now known as West Kallada St. Mary's Orthodox Vellapalli. After the Synod of Diamper changed the names of the churches named after Mar Sabor and Mar Afroth as All Saints churches, and changed the festivals and offerings conducted on November 1st in their names as All Saints Festival and Offerings. But the Christian community in Kerala, and those especially at Kollam, are intimately attached to the memory of two bishops known as Mar Sabor and Mar Afroth. The family members of Tulasheri Mannapuratha Tharwad live today at different parts of the world, upholding their great legacy. Among them, a branch of Kudithinal family has established a settlement on the historic Mount of St. Thomas, and that's the proud edifice of Hindustan.